Colonel Rob Manus has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff operations officer, assisted the national security team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the vice commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Manus is a true American hero. This is Rob Manus Live.
That I am praying to God that it is never my intention to hurt anybody ever. All that I've always done is to help my patients.
That's the message from Dr. Sanjeev Kumar to his former patients. He's that Memphis gynecologist accused of abusing 4 women, committing medical fraud, and reusing unsanitary medical devices. Kumar has been out of jail on a $100,000 bond since last week, but he was back in federal court today for his arraignment. Fox 13 health reporter Mandy Rock is live outside the Federal Justice Building right now. So, Mandy, you talked with Kumar and his attorney just after they entered that not guilty plea.
Yeah, that's right, Daryl. And today, Kumar's attorney said that they are working on getting medical records to former patients as quickly as possible. He also said they plan to file a motion in the next couple of days asking the court to reconsider his bond restrictions, specifically his inability to practice. Dr. Kumar's attorney, Lawrence Lorenzi, maintains his client's innocence. Last week, the judge set several conditions for Kumar's release, including ordering him to close his Poplar Avenue clinic and prohibiting him from practicing medicine or other healthcare services. According to the indictment, between 2019 and 2024, Kumar sexually abused women by conducting medically unnecessary procedures with medical devices he held under unsanitary conditions and reused when they were required to be disposed of or properly reprocessed. The indictment also accuses Kumar of healthcare fraud. Dr. Kumar, did you have anything you'd like to say to any of your former patients?
I would say that it is never my intent to hurt anybody. I always want to help each and every single of my patients. And that's the overarching feeling that I've always had. And I look forward to defending myself. And please know that I am praying to God that it is never my intention to hurt anybody ever. All that I've always done is to help my patients.
And ever since Kumar's arrest a couple of weeks ago, we've heard from several women concerned that they've been violated or had a procedure that they simply didn't need to get. Coming up at 6, we'll hear more from Kumar's attorney about the next steps in this case and also his message to those former patients. Daryl?
Mandy Rock live in downtown Memphis. Thank you, Mandy.
Welcome back to the Rob Manus Show. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, folks, as I've told you in previous weeks, we are going to cover more weaponization and lawfare cases. And what you just saw is how the weaponized DOJ goes after another doctor who doesn't fit their narrative. My guest today is Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, a Mayo Clinic-trained gynecological surgeon and oncologist in Memphis, Tennessee. One of the very few specialists in the entire country qualified to handle the toughest women's cancer and pelvic cases. For years, he's been treating these vulnerable patients, many on Medicare and Medicaid, with procedures that literally saved their lives. But the federal government decided to make an example out of him. They turned what should have been a regulatory or billing dispute into a massive criminal prosecution packed with inflammatory allegations. Many of the most serious charges were later dropped. Yet in January, a jury still convicted the doctor on 40 counts related to medical devices and healthcare claims. Dr. Kumar was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison last month, and his team has filed an appeal. They're backed by former top FDA lawyers and regulatory experts who say the DOJ flat out misapplied federal rules on single use devices and ignored clear safe harbor guidance that protects outpatient physician offices like his. This isn't justice, my friends. This is lawfare. It continues. Dr. Kumar's fighting back with everything he's got, and we're going to get the full story straight from him right now. Dr. Kumar, welcome to the Rob Maynard Show, sir. It's good to have you. Sorry we had to miss you last month, but you had to go to court, and I appreciate that. But I also appreciate you giving us the opportunity to get your story out there, because this is horrendous, sir. It is really horrendous. Can you, before we dive into the charges and the courts, just explain to folks what your practice looked like before the federal government decided to destroy you and it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Colonel Manis, for the opportunity to share the experience in my story. My practice, basically, we had a gynecologic practice, gynecologic surgery, and a multi-specialty group practice called Poplar Avenue Clinic. And very, very busy practice, open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. And located at the Poplar Avenue, one of the main streets in Memphis, Tennessee. And we basically had an open door policy that we will never turn away a patient. Anybody could show up, and if we could provide the care, we will do our very, very best to look after them. Practice started in 2019. Before that, I was a hospital-employed physician. And after the practice started, it grew rapidly. And from what we were told during the trial, became one of the largest practices in the state of Tennessee. So we looked after thousands and thousands of patients, approximately 9,000 patients, according to the governmental databases. We provided pretty much anything that you can think of, from pap smear to all the way up to pelvic exoneration. Pap smear is a very tiny little test that we do to screen for cervical cancer. And then pelvic exoneration is where I remove all the pelvic organs in difficult cancer cases that could actually kill people. So we provided a whole gamut of services in that sense. I'm a double board certified physician. I did my OBGYN residency at the Wayne State University and a fellowship in one of the best known programs in the country at the Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. And after that, came to Memphis to begin practice. So that's kind of a summary. Our practice was very, very well liked by the patients. We have thousands of 5-star reviews from our patients, literally hundreds of great handwritten comments from the patients about the satisfaction and the excellent care that they received until we were targeted by this very egregious case of lawfare and weaponization.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me as odd about this case is if the practice, like the government data shows, is one of the largest in Tennessee, one of the largest in Tennessee, and there's so many patients. You always ask for feedback from the patients, right? And I assume it probably ran the gambit. I mean, patients are really honest with their medical providers when giving feedback. In my experience, I've run 2 large medical clinics in the Air Force as the executive oversight, so I'm kind of familiar with it from that perspective. Were you getting large numbers of negative feedback, or was it mostly positive?
No, actually, I took great pride in asking for patient feedback. In fact, if you look at our face sheet, the clinic intake form, we created a section on the face sheet, and it asked them one question. And that question is, what is the one thing we can do to make your experience better? And I specifically created that section in the patient intake form itself so that when patients come in, they have an opportunity to write what they feel about their care live. And I believe that that's the best measure of how the patients are perceiving your care that you're providing, right?
Yeah.
And then they obviously had the opportunity to write Google reviews, health grade reviews, send us emails. We had a complaint box in our waiting area as well, where if you were not happy or you're frustrated, you could write on a piece of paper and drop it in the complaint box. And then obviously we had the good old telephone as well. And a practice starting in 2019, growing, fairly big, and in fact, one of the largest practices in the state of Tennessee, is a testament to itself. Is that if patients don't like your care, they're not going to come back to you.
Right.
And our growth and our continued service of those patients is an objective measure that our patients actually not only did they like our practice, they appreciated and were grateful for the care. Having said that, as you well know, there are few patients that unfortunately nobody can satisfy. So every practice has few patients that get frustrated, and sometimes medical care is not straightforward.
Right.
You have, if a illness is complex, it is going to take time. There are no magic bullets. And as we were taught in the fellowship, and I used to say to a lot of my patients, if the situation got frustrated, if the journey got tough, that, hey, I don't have a magic bullet. I don't claim to have one. There's no magic wand to, make somebody better with the waving of a wand. What I can assure you is that I'm going to work with you no matter how tough the illness gets.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the charges for a second as it related to complaints or positive feedback. There was some pretty horrendous charges against you beyond billing disputes and using unsanitary devices. Was there some evidence that drove those charges? Like, wasn't there some sexual assault charges or something to that effect?
Oh, yes, there were probably the most horrendous charges that you can think of. Just like you played a news clip, was around when that nightmare started. And there were sexual charges, quote, illegal sex activity, rape, human trafficking. There was zero evidence to back that up. And later on, we found out. So you played the news clip, and that's exactly how it was running, as if there was sexual assault and things of that nature.
Yep.
And later on, we found out when the prosecutorial team explained to us that, the actual basis of leveling those charges was a fairly novel theory that if a patient had a hysteroscopy, which is a legitimate medical procedure, and 4 or 5 years later, they hired a chart reviewer. And if the chart reviewer actually said that, I don't think I would have done this procedure, in a background that the chart reviewer actually themselves, they don't do office hysteroscopy. But yet that chart reviewer, if based on their subjective opinion, if a procedure was not, quote, necessary, then you can charge a doctor with sexual assault, rape, and human trafficking because I'm a gynecologist and the procedure entails female genitalia.
Right.
And Memphis, being on the border of Arkansas and Mississippi, our patients cross borders all the time to see us.
Okay.
And that's why they said human trafficking comes into picture. And the shocking part of all these charges is the fact that I'm the owner of the clinic, But if one of my crew members, let's say a female physician assistant, performed the procedure, even for those days, I was charged with sexual assault, human trafficking, and rape. And that's how shocking these charges were leveled.
Yeah, that is stunning, Dr. Kumar. But based on what I've learned the past few years, unfortunately, it's not surprising. I want to continue this discussion on the backside of this break. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll see another clip about the charges themselves, I think, and the conviction, the ones you were convicted on. I want to talk to those too. But I want to dig deeper into this and see what else they told you about these other really specious charges. I'm in a state of shock and disbelief every time I hear one of these cases, sir. Thank you for joining me. We'll be right back with Dr. Kumar on the Rob Maness Show, and it's Truth Thursday. We're putting the truth out.
Introducing Worldview Tube Vault. Over 35 years of radio broadcasts, television programs, documentaries, and ebooks. Plus, Worldviewpedia, our powerful search engine for instant worldview and Bible research. Join for as little as $7.99 a month. And now, Vault members get something brand new, courses. Our very first course is here, The Book of Revelation with Brannon House. 53 in-depth lessons, complete with overview quizzes, walking you verse by verse through one of the most important books in Scripture. Getting started is simple. Go to worldviewtube.com/vault and join today. Already a member? Visit worldviewtube.com, click the person icon in the top right, and log in. Then hover over Vault in the menu and select Courses. That's it. You're in. Join WorldviewTube Vault today at worldviewtube.com/vault.
Now, first, we want to get to Desmond Nugent in downtown Memphis with the federal trial against a Memphis doctor. He's now convicted on 40 of 46 charges. Desmond.
Ruben and Pepper, it's been a very tumultuous situation the last couple hours after the jury has decided that Dr. Kumar will be charged for federal charges, 40 of the 46 counts that he was facing. And according to the government, they did state that he should be facing up to 100 years or more than 100 years. But according to Dr. Kumar's attorney, Ronald Chapman, that should not be the case and will not be the case. One of the things I wanted to let it be known is that Dr. Kumar actually spoke for the first time since the actual verdict came out, and actually throughout this jury deliberation, which today marked day 5. One of the things I wanted to also illustrate is that Dr. Kumar was very emotional prior to the actual verdict coming out, and then even just a few minutes ago, whenever Dr. Kumar's legal team was able to speak with us during our special coverage, that he said that prior to that particular during that particular jury deliberation, he was just very surprised and very disappointed in this particular verdict. He said that he understands that this is a judicial situation, that this is a judicial process, but he is disappointed in that his legal team will be appealing this process. He also stated that as far as the patients or the level of patients, that the level of care that he was trying to provide for his patients, he was just trying to do the best that he could, and that for the time being, he will not be able to practice anymore for the foreseeable future. Again, Dr. Kumar is being convicted of 40 of the 46 counts according to the jury. We will provide more information as it becomes available live in downtown Memphis. I'm Desmond Nugent, ABC 24 News.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast, and my guest today is Dr. Kumar. And Sanjeev, let's talk about the 6 charges that you weren't convicted on. First, we were discussing I think some of those beforehand. Were they all either sexual assault type or trafficking charges, all 6 of those egregious ones?
No, actually, so those charges had already been dropped.
Okay, so they dropped those initially.
Yes, the sexual charges, the rape charges, this and that, they were dropped before they even went to the trial. And the court issued an order that the sexual terminology should not be used, because these type of terminologies are very, very prejudicial. They're highly prejudicial in nature, and they should not be and must not be used. And so those charges were dropped, and then the trial moved forward, and it was mostly consisting of the device charges and healthcare fraud charges. So that's how the trial continued. The healthcare fraud charges surprisingly had variable theories, some of which were very difficult to understand, and sometimes it was considered a medical necessity. Sometimes it was considered a device use. Sometimes it was considered patient consent. Sometimes it was considered just all following the rules and regulations, of which we have literally thousands and thousands. So it kept shifting as the trial went forward. If I remember correctly, at some point during the trial, they were even talking about the quality of water that flows in the clinic.
Really?
Yes, that could be based, that could predicate that you fail to follow regulations and things of that nature. I mean, it was just topsy-turvy theory that
Yeah,
kept
were
on.
any of the fraud charges about codes, billing coding, and that kind of thing?
So it part of it entails that, although it was very confusing, that it was never really narrowed down on which exact point was the basis of the charge. I'll tell you one example. So the main code that was picked up by the government was the hysteroscopy endometrial sampling code. And it's very unusual that one code featured in the entire trial, and yet there was commentary, there was testimony that would shift from gynecologic procedures, and then sometimes limited to this code, sometimes limited to other gynecologic procedures. That became very, very confusing as well. The clinic purchased more than 40,000 single-use sterile biopsy devices
Right.
that were utilized. But if you look at some of the press releases, they would say a far lesser number of devices purchased by the clinic. Our clinic also had one of the largest collections in the country of actual multi-use devices that can be reprocessed and reused literally thousands of times.
Re-sterilized, right?
Re-sterilized or be retreated with high-level disinfection based on the exact device type. So we had numerous devices of numerous types. If a device is flexible devices that are not composed of the metal cannot be put in the autoclave, because autoclave entails very high temperature under very high pressure, so that will melt the device or damage the device. So for these devices, the FDA and CDC recommend that it's okay to be used with high-level disinfection. And in most clinics for those devices, our national experts testified that that is indeed the standard of care. And our clinic actually met or exceeded the standard of care on those particular devices.
So the 40,000 single-use devices, were any of the charges about using them more than once?
So that's the funny thing, is that none of the device charges were actually about using the device in an actual patient.
Oh.
Think about that for a second. And then compare that with all the news and all the press releases.
Right.
The actual charges and what was presented to the jury was strictly misbranding. Misbranding means that if a device doesn't have a label, and if the device didn't come with the label, it will not have a label. Okay.
Right.
And then second set of charges were, quote, adulteration. Adulteration means a device being held under unsanitary condition. And that could be, let's say, if you threw a device in a trash can, and if you picked up that device, you kept it under filthy conditions in your custody for more than a year, and then you showed it to a witness, granted, that device could be, quote, held under unsanitary condition because it's being thrown around.
Right.
A lot of them were actually broken in this process. Then think about other situations like you have research devices, you have devices that students are playing with, you have devices that, medical reps, they drop in the clinic,
Right.
merely so you could study or you could see if they work or not, right? So that's why we had actually filed a motion twice. It's called the Bill of Particulars motion. And in that particular motion, we asked the government that, hey, please tell us which device, which patient, which procedure. And you'll be shocked to actually find out how they responded to those requirements. They said, the government is actually not required to prove actual use of a device, which still to this day we can't understand. And that became a big issue in the trial, is that if you're not required to prove actual use of a device on a specific patient for a specific billing episode, what am I defending against?
Yeah, what's the crime?
What's the crime? So we then filed a motion, and actually this became a recurrent issue throughout the case, as well as in the post-trial motions as well, is that, hey, you're turning this into a crime of intent, is that I'm not disputing that you found a device in my clinic. In fact, I was actually not at the clinic when the FBI search happened at the clinic. I was in the hospital operating, and construction was actually going on. So who knows who put what device where?
Right.
I never disputed that the device was actually at the clinic. The dispute was actually proving that a device was actually used on a specific patient, and that procedure was billed to the Medicare and Medicaid programs. And they never proved that.
On the single-use devices that you, I'm going to put them in my language, but what I think I understood you say, you're using some for training, you use some to show patients as a demonstration of what this is what the device looks like, this is how it works, those kind of things. Was there a control methodology that the clinic that you directed the clinic to use so you could always be able to identify those particular devices? Were they kept in a certain location, marked a certain way, those kind of things?
Yeah. The best way to control that is hire licensed providers, because they will not do anything wrong, and follow the instruction for use of the device, right? So if I'm doing the procedure, I am the best control mechanism to use the correct type of the device. And that's why I testified for 2 days in my trial, and the government never actually asked me a single question. There was zero cross-examination.
Really?
And I told them, yes, I was the only one charged in this trial, and I told them what device I used. I also told them, going one step further, the devices that they were alleging, how they cannot be reused. A lot of these devices actually had a kill switch in them, that you cannot reuse that particular device even if you wanted to, because of the kill switch. Because these are inbuilt safety mechanisms in the devices. And when a medical rep trains me, I take that as a foolproof method. You see?
Yeah.
And despite of that, we got the verdict that we got, and it was pretty shocking. And it's unusual and shocking at multiple levels, in the sense that if the government is not required to prove actual use of a device, then how would the jury actually decide what is the crime here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the crime and the instructions to the jury on how to define that somebody did the crime. I'm not a lawyer, but that's the layman's perspective on it. Have to be
That's right.
very clear in order to have a justice outcome in a trial, whether it's civil or criminal. Okay, we got to take another break. When we come back, I want to continue this discussion about what you were convicted on, too, so people understand it, and then go into how you guys filed several motions that were denied, and then at the end of the show, we'll talk about your appeal and those kind of things. But lots of good questions, and I've got a couple from the audience we'll bring in the next segment. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. We'll be right back on the Rob Main Show.
At a certain age, you stop chasing younger. You start protecting what helps you feel steady, strong, and well. Your body's collagen matters. It supports the structure of your skin, joints, and connective tissue. But as the years go by, your body needs more support from the inside. That's where Bella Grace Elixir comes in. Bella Grace Elixir combines Verisol collagen, the world's most clinically proven collagen, with asteryl astaxanthin and cat's claw in a proprietary blend designed to help support the processes that reconstruct collagen, while also offering antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. And this isn't just for women. It's for men and women who want to age with more confidence, more care, and a daily wellness routine that supports the body from within. One simple elixir, thoughtfully formulated for whole body wellness. Take care of the body that has carried you this far. Order Bella Grace Elixir today at melissahousebg.com.
A federal judge has denied a mistrial request from a Memphis gynecologist convicted in a major healthcare fraud case. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar was found guilty last year of reusing single-use medical devices and defrauding Medicare at his Poplar Avenue clinic. Now the court is rejecting his bid for a new trial. Chief U.S. District Judge Cheryl Littman denied multiple post-trial motions filed by Kumar, including a request for a mistrial, acquittal, and a new trial. After a 3-week federal trial, a jury found Kumar guilty on 40 of 46 counts, including healthcare fraud and adjusting single-use medical devices. Court records show that Kumar also received a Rimmer hearing to examine possible outside influence.
2 years ago.
It's Truth Thursday, and my guest today is Dr. Kumar, and we're getting the story out and the truth about the story. Dr. Kumar, I want to take a question from my live audience real quick before we dive into that mistrial motion. Go ahead, Shell.
Thank you, sir. Doctor, I have a question from Julie for Butte 5. She wants to know, how do you feel about Fauci's pardon, the times that he pled the fifth, 111 times, and today's contempt vote by the Senate committee?
Yeah, look, I'm not a huge fan of not answering questions. In my own trial, I spoke for 2 days and gave everybody, ample opportunity to ask any questions. I went through a very rigorous medical board investigation, and I, kept sitting with them for as long as they wanted. They, took pictures and shot videos and what have you. I've been talking, even during and after the case as well, is that I take effective communication as a, very, very important part of being an astute physician. I think,
it's critical to the credibility of the medical community. I
yes,
agree with it.
Yes, I think Dr. Fauci should have answered the questions. I don't know about other legalities around it, but I don't see any point of not answering questions.
I agree with you. Dr. Kumar, what were the mistrial motions about on your case that were denied?
Yeah, so there were a lot of issues that kept coming up, and as they kept coming up, we kept building a record of those issues. I'll name a few, and it is, everybody who has reviewed the actual trial, they tell me that they've not seen trials where this many issues have actually come up. And so there were severe issues related to two telephones. One key witness for the government had their phone in their possession and did not turn over that phone to us, whereas the government used the phone and we were deprived of that opportunity. In our view, that became a big Brady violation.
Yeah.
Secondly, there was a special agent from the FDA on the case, and he, quote, reset his phone to factory settings. And in that process, lost communication with key witnesses, text messages, exhibits that he had sent the witnesses. So it's like if you're sending people, pictures of evidence or text messages, I'm told by the legal counsel that becomes evidence in a criminal case. And they said that it is ABCs of criminal investigations from the federal government that you preserve that evidence. And, that evidence was lost. And it was noted that it is a huge problem in the case. Then, as we talked about, is that when the government's responsibility to prove actual use of a device was eliminated, that became, in our view, a crime of intent. That how do you go from not having to prove use of a device to now releasing press releases that I'm convicted of, quote, reusing the devices improperly. And how do you reuse a device that has a kill switch? Or how do you use a device that is actually not even a device that you're claiming it to be? So some of these devices that they charged them as hysteroscopes. I was not using that hysteroscope. These were actually cystoscopes, parts of the cystoscopes. What was charged were many of them were actually not even full devices. They were like parts of the devices, what FDA classifies them as, quote, accessories.
Right.
Vast majority of them were actually non-functional. They don't even work. So how do you actually use a device that doesn't work? You see?
Yeah. Oh, it makes no sense. I don't. So, but you were convicted on 40 of these charges, and some of them involve reuse, right? Is that right?
It's
Or
not right.
were the charges changed to not say that you reused them?
No.
How did they do that?
Yeah, the jury was never asked to evaluate actual use of a device on a specific patient for a specific procedure. And that becomes a huge point in our case and our appeal. And that's contrary to a lot of the press releases that are floating around, which is why this case has taken a pretty technical turn.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to show some of these clips, because I know there's incorrect information and give you.
There's massive amount of misinformation and incorrect information out there.
Exactly.
If reuse was proven, it will be physically impossible. And I took the stand and I demonstrated some of the use of these devices. Because I know my devices, I know how I use it. No two surgeons are similar in terms of how they use the devices, specifically in complex patients. And you're talking about patients who have multiple fibroids, very large uterus, many times cancer. I'm talking about body weight of 450 pounds or even heavier. So you can't just take anything and get the job done. It's virtually impossible, which is the very reason why I took the stand. I don't think the jury actually understood the case. It was, so twisted the way it was presented.
Yeah, I'm curious. Can you articulate what the jury was instructed to come
Yeah.
to a guilty or a guilty verdict? I guess would be
Yeah.
the term.
So the
What were
jury
they
was,
instructed?
yeah, the jury was instructed on the charge of misbranding, that it did not have a label. And my understanding of the label is who reprocessed it. And they allege that if anybody reprocessed the device, the clinic was supposed to register with the FDA as a manufacturer of the devices. But if you actually read the FDA regulations, they say otherwise, that a physician's office is an exception under the safe harbors provided by the FDA's own self. The second instruction to the jury was that of adulteration, that a device was, quote, held under unsanitary condition. So if a device was thrown in a trash can, and many were picked up from the trash, if the device was thrown in the trash can or picked up, then that device is, quote, held under unsanitary condition, and that becomes a adulterated device. These were the instructions, and there were the total jury instructions were about 35 pages, and supplemental instructions were given to them as well. So there was a whole host of different things, but proving a specific device for a specific patient, a specific procedure, the jury was never actually asked that question.
That's amazing. Well, I want to take another question from the audience before we get to this last break. Go ahead, Shel.
We have Marlon, sir.
We can't understand.
So, Doctor, sorry about that.
Marlon, you're rugging really bad, sir. We'll try again in a moment.
Let's go to the other question.
We have Zach, sir.
Yes, that sounds like the state of Tennessee for you. The regional healthcare. That's what I'm going to ask. Was it that them did it or not?
Not sure I understand the question, Zach.
Was it the regional healthcare in the state of Tennessee who originated these charges, sir?
Okay, good question.
No, it was not.
It's all federal.
Yeah, these were federal charges. And they started with a allegation that our clinic was overutilizing hysteroscopy, whereas our clinic is located in an inherently very high-risk area. And the clinic looks after extraordinarily high-risk patient population to detect endometrial cancer and other pathology in the uterus. And I'm a specialist of that field. So a lot of the patients who suspect these type of problems, they gravitate towards our clinic. It's a legitimate procedure. It's a very important procedure for women's health.
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned the medical board. You're a board-certified physician. Was there a case to remove your certification presented to the board, and what was the outcome of that?
Yeah, so the FBI filed a complaint with the state medical board. The same type of allegations, overutilization of service and reuse of devices. The medical board conducted a comprehensive independent investigation and released a approximately 500-page report where they detailed all the witnesses that they interviewed, all the equipment used at the clinic, and so forth and so on. They interviewed me as well, and they dismissed the case right away, that there is no case. And despite of that, the federal prosecution went forward, essentially implying that the prosecutorial team understands the practice of medicine better than the state medical board.
That leads me to the question of what was the timing of that medical board investigation, Dr. Kumar? Was it before the trial?
It was before the trial, actually. So our clinic was searched and raided in April of 2024, and the devices were seized. And then the FBI filed a complaint with that evidence to the medical board. And the medical board investigation happened in July, August of 2024. And in September, they released the results of their investigation and sent me a nice letter dismissing the case. And when I got the letter, I'm a good student, and I keep my head down, keep working. I'm like, medical board has dismissed the case. So I kept practicing and kept doing the best I could to service my patients. Little did I know, in February next year is when they suddenly arrested me on a Friday and unveiled these rather salacious charges that you were playing on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speechless about that piece of it. We got to take our last break, Dr. Kumar. But I want to get your take on. I want to answer this question when we come back from the break. And were you able to use the medical board's findings as exculpatory evidence in the trial? We'll be right back with Dr. Kumar.
Take a look at the water you just poured. It looks clean, it tastes fine, but what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial-scale systems to whole house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
The Memphis gynecologist sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for improperly using healthcare devices and fraud is filing an appeal. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar was sentenced to 2 decades behind bars earlier this month. He was originally facing more than 160 years in prison after a jury found him guilty on more than 40 charges of misusing devices and healthcare fraud. Today, his attorneys filed an appeal that will be heard in front of a U.S. Circuit judge.
Welcome back to the Rob Maynard Show. It's Truth Thursday and another case of weaponization of the justice system against a good, solid citizen professional that is trying to help people. I am amazed at this. Make sure you check out Cynthia Hughes' weaponizationwatch.org organization and throw them a donation if you can. That's what I try to do, and I try to present these cases because it's unbelievable. And today's Truth Thursday, and Dr. Kumar is my guest today. Dr. Kumar, I want to take a question from the audience, but before that, the question I asked before the break, were you able to use that board case that basically, dismissed the charges as exculpatory evidence in the trial?
Yeah, so we were able to introduce the report. It was a fairly large report, about 500 pages. I don't know whether anybody looked at it, though, the details. But we were blocked from entering the main letter that had the actual conclusion of the report.
Really?
So, yes. So we were blocked from using that letter. From this, complex legal mumbo jumbo. I don't know what exact, terminology they were using, why the cover letter was blocked. And we had the state medical board investigator, one of them, testify. And obviously they stuck to their findings. and were very nice and pretty honest. But the other team tried to, sway them one way or the other by asking all these funny questions, implying things like, "Hey, have you ever investigated a gynecologic oncologist before?" And there are not many of us around to begin with,
Right.
not realizing that they themselves have not investigated a gynecologic oncologist's device used before. I'm pretty certain of that. And so it was, a fairly unusual type of, situation. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe in the medical board, believe in science and the scientific facts.
Right.
I'll tell you a few examples. They were trying to imply throughout the trial that uterus is a sterile cavity. Scientifically, it is not. I'm here to tell you that. They had a lead reviewer from the FDA take stand and say the FDA has, quote, never, ever cleared a hysteroscope that can be used with high-level disinfection. But the Olympus device that we presented, if you read its FDA-cleared instruction for use document, it says repeatedly, you can use this device with high-level disinfection or sterilization. And our device use was consistent with that FDA guidance and was consistent with the CDC guidelines. I didn't dream of this utilization myself.
Right.
I was trained that way. We had a national expert testifying that in our American Association of Gynecological Laparoscopists training courses, which I followed, the device use was consistent with that. But the government took a position that no, that's dirty. And it comes from this lead reviewer, which was frankly pretty shocking for me.
Yeah, it is a shocking case when you get into the details of it. Let's take this question from the audience. Go ahead, Joe.
Sir, we have Marlon.
Hey, thanks for the patience there, Colonel. Colonel, it's more of a statement to the doctor and pretty much what you covered before. Doesn't this sound like a rogue agent that actually compounded the evidence and case after case to put all these 46 counts against him when they're realizing that the foundation of the case really didn't work? So, it's just another case of a rogue agent, right, Carl?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I'm no expert, but we've seen it time and time again. Marlon, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Dr. Kumar.
Yeah, I can give you example after example. I mean, some of the details I can tell you. So that there was a false memo that was written by an agent, and the memo said, hey, these devices were seized from this clinic, and blood and DNA was found on these devices. And if you look at some of the narrative in the indictment, it's pretty inflammatory to produce the yuck factor. But you'll be amazed to know that the FDA tested for blood 3 times and came back empty-handed all 3 times. No blood was found, and yet a false memo was created. Secondly, DNA was never tested because they said the devices were actually recovered from a high-level disinfectant that kills all the bugs.
Right.
So they were pretty safe the way they were recovered.
Yeah. So was the false memo thrown out?
False memo should come out at some point.
It wasn't thrown out in the case? The jury saw that?
Yeah, it remained as part of the discovery, actually.
Okay.
And I believe was used to propagate the case.
Unbelievable. So you're appealing. What can you talk through the nature of the appeal at this point?
I'm appealing 100%. We don't know right now what the points will look like in the appeal.
Okay.
Most teams that I've spoken to are of the opinion that there's quite a bit of technical things that we need to incorporate. So we haven't decided our main points, but for sure we'll be appealing and looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I've got one more question in the audience. Let's go ahead and take that before we close out. Go ahead, Joe.
We have Alpha, sir.
Many greetings and blessings upon you, Dr. Kumar. Basically two parts. Who did you irritate, or as we would say, PO, in this process that put this investigation against you? And I'm just not understanding how these people can listen to this evidence and apparently not come to the conclusion of your past experience and come to these horrible conclusions. It just sounds to me like somebody is really after you for some nefarious reason.
Certainly, it feels that way. The case was started by the Biden administration, and some of my competitors actually testified against me, although their substance of complaints was mainly that their practice is not exactly like mine, that they have a variation of practice, which I think is a good thing. Doctors disagree all the time. I used hysteroscopy along with endometrial sampling as a gold standard to give the patient the answer that they were looking for. Now, the doctor next door, the doctor down the street may just do a sampling, or may get an ultrasound, or may do a CT scan, or may do an MRI. I don't necessarily want all the practices to be doing the exact same thing. That is not that I'm recommending. And a disagreement between competitors is a healthy thing, right?
Yeah.
You have a Hilton, you have a Marriott. They're both hotels, but they provide comparable, competitive services with some differences. But why would you criminalize one person over the other and then use a competitor who has obvious conflict of interest to punish a excellent practice? And this in the background, this in the background in women's health, and you can check the data, endometrial cancer has become the fastest growing cancer in women's health. Every 10 minutes, a new endometrial cancer is diagnosed. We need more hysteroscopy services in the office than less. Yeah. When this procedure is conducted in the hospital, it's way more expensive than when it is, conducted in the convenient setting of a physician's office. They were complaining that, hey, why did you repeat endometrial samplings? And I'll give you some reasons. Is that when a physician or a surgeon, they conduct a biopsy with this endometrial pipelle, we have no control over what gets sucked into this pipelle. If it is blood, if it is debris, if it is actual cells that are, shed, we have no way of knowing. Then this sample goes through many, many different steps of reprocessing. And then every pathologist is different. Some pathologists diagnose something with a smaller sample. Others need a bigger sample. The number of cells that are shed by a patient are different as well. So we have no way of knowing. I wish I had the crystal ball and everybody, I could provide an answer with one-time testing, but that's not the case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the death rates are going up. Obviously you're in this business because you care about your patients. It's a tough neighborhood where your clinic is at. As you mentioned, they're high risk. Your patients are a part of that high risk population. Who is treating are they getting treatment now? Because you've been prevented from treating your patients, even though you're still, I'm assuming, board certified physician.
Correct. I still have my excellent credentials and sound body and mind, and have my medical license. I bet that a lot of my patients are not receiving the proper care. Remember, we had a great setup on diagnosing and treating this deadly disease in our office with zero barriers. You could just walk in, and we will do our very best. And now probably you're, going to the emergency room, waiting for a number of hours, and probably getting either an ultrasound or a CT scan, and being sent right back that, find a gynecologic oncologist where the appointment is who knows when. In the meantime, the cancer rates keep going up and up and up. And you can actually check yourself that in African American communities, the death rate is twice as high. And as insurance declines, the death rate increases. And eventually the cost of care keeps going up and up. It's a massive issue in women's health that nobody's talking about.
It is, exactly. Unfortunately,
also,
Dr. Kumar, we're out of time, and we've got to end it there. We'll stay in touch, though, because I want to do updates as this goes by for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
How can folks find you and help you out?
Yes, they can check out my website, and we have the contact details on the website, drsanjeevkumarsurgeon.com. I'm available on LinkedIn, X, and the social media.
All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. God bless you. You're in our prayers for sure, and we'll keep fighting for justice for all of these lawfare victims. I'm Rob Maness, and I'll see you on More War Monday. Former Special Operations Green Beret Captain John Frankman will be my guest. See you then. Worldview.